The CDC just got dealt a crushing decision from a federal judge. He declared the CDC moratorium on evictions unconstitutional and unable to proceed. This has a lot of impacts in all areas of commercial real estate. Stay tuned to find out how this affects you. So the CDC eviction moratorium has been overturned by a federal judge. This is not just in his jurisdiction, but nationwide. And this has far-reaching implications for all investors in commercial real estate. And what I'm going to talk about is the impact on residential investors, multifamily commercial investors, as well as what that means for investors looking at that asset class and whether they're going to move over and start bidding up the prices for other asset classes such as office, warehouse, industrial, and hotel. So let's talk about the impact on multifamily investment. And this CDC started during COVID-19. I think that the federal government, or particularly heads of certain agencies, were looking for a solution that would help people stay in their homes and ostensibly slow or stop the spread of COVID-19. However, the CDC declaration was really always on sketchy basis. It never had a solid foundation in terms of constitutional power. And I think we've seen that with a lot of the lawsuits and individual rulings by other district judges. However, what this ruling really says, and if you look at the opinion, I'm a lawyer, I like to read these things. As you go through this ruling, you'll see the arguments laid out by both sides, you'll see the logic. And I think it's really important to understand that this just represents uncertainty. And investors don't like uncertainty. There are enough issues for investors to worry about without adding an extra layer of uncertainty from government interference. And so if you are in a state that doesn't have a local overlay of an eviction moratorium, this is more news that if a federal agency, potentially under this Biden administration, comes out with a rule that impacts everybody on a nationwide scale, that authority could be challenged in federal court, and there is precedence now for the district judge to overturn that and say they weren't delegated. And I compare this because it's a really important distinction. If the CDC had come out and enacted a rule, and then they later let it expire, or they retracted their own power, it's kind of an autonomy thing, and it never lets the precedent, which is very important in U.S. law, common law, it never lets the judges establish a precedent of judges overturning them. If they had let it expire, or if they had voluntarily withdrawn the need for the moratorium, their power would not have been tested. But now we have a greater level of certainty, because if a federal agency seeks to act, the judges have precedent that they could overturn that authority. And that really creates a lot of uncertainty. So if you're an investor, a lot of you watching this channel want to invest in commercial, they want to invest in real estate, are you going to put your money into a building that potentially you can't remove the tenants? Potentially those tenants have the ability to pay, they've gotten a stimulus check, yet they still don't want to pay you, the landlord, and you can't physically remove them from the building. Are you going to take that risk? Because yes, you may have a stay on your mortgage payments, but that has a whole host of other strings with that, taking that option. But you also have other bills to pay. You've got staff to pay, you have payroll, you have property taxes. There is no abatement for property taxes. There's no forbearance for your electricity bills. And there's still a lot of bills that have to be paid. So do you want to take that extra risk given the current administration in the next 3 years? I don't know the answer to that, but on a very macro level, that is going to impact investors getting out of a very hot, some say overpriced multifamily market into other asset classes.
Alright guys, well that wraps up this video. I'm back from my little field trip, went to walk by, and in case you couldn't tell, I was actually at a new luxury Class A multifamily building. I'm sure a lot of investors put some money into that with some great trepidation, but it really remains to be seen what this impact is for the commercial real estate market in general. I think that people are still investing tremendously. We have foreign investment coming in, but how do you add up all of these small macroeconomic factors on a US or a national scale, and how does that affect your particular project? And that's going to come down to your individual risk tolerance and what you believe to be true in the future. So smash that like button and subscribe for more commercial real estate from Ronald Rohde Law.